What's up, everybody? My name is Robbie, and you are watching Geek Level Asian. This is my final review of Voltron Legendary Defender Season 8, last season. Emotional roller coaster, I'm sure, for you as much as me. I did not do a review of Season 7, and I do apologize, but we will talk about it a little bit because a few important things happened in that season that are necessary to talk about while reviewing Season 8. But before I go ahead and jump right into it, I do want to mention that this is going to be spoiler heavy, and Season 8 was so well done that I do not want to spoil anything for anyone who's going to watch this video. So originally I said I'm going to touch upon Season 7, which I'm going to do now, and I'm not going to talk about all of it, that would take way too long, but I'm going to talk about the things that I think, again, are important to discuss or to mention before we go into Season 8. The Voltron paladins do make it back to Earth. Pidge's father has been super busy creating something called the IGF Atlas, which we will see more of in Season 8. The only thing that you need to know about the IGF Atlas at this point is that it's a gigantic ship that's about the size of the Castle of Lions from what I understand. It's piloted by Shiro, navigation again is Koran, and we have some new characters, one including Lance's sister, who are also on the deck. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it turns into a gigantic mecha. It's like Voltron's big, bulky, slow-moving, but very strong brother. Alright everybody, let's talk about Season 8. I am not going to do a play-by-play, but I will talk about what I thought was important, what I thought was great, and some of my follow-up thoughts. So first things first, let's talk about Princess Allura and Lance. We have to. This is a romance that I did not totally think was going to come to fruition, and that's not because I didn't want it to. I was rooting for Lance. I knew he was in love with Allura. We all knew that. And it's not that I didn't want it to happen, I just didn't know how much they were going to develop Lance as a character in general. But now that we've seen it actually happen, I am so glad that it did. Let's talk about Unnerva for a moment, and for anyone who maybe isn't caught up, which you should be if you're watching this video, again, because there's a lot of spoilers, she is, and probably always was, stronger than Zarkon ever was. Zarkon, in a way, I mean, now that I see the extent of Unnerva's power, he was really just a big bully. That's all he really was. He was a big, scary bully. Unnerva has the knowledge, the ability, the magic to change realities. And when it comes to her tactical and strategic expertise, she was way more prepared for not only a Voltron attack, but an IGF Atlas attack and a Voltron Coalition attack. Zarkon really just wanted the Black Lion. He just really wanted to take control of Voltron. Unnerva wants to change reality itself. And during the back end of Season 8 is where we really get to see how crazy she actually is and what she's willing to do for her cause. Let's talk about her cause for a moment. So a little over 10,000 years ago, Unnerva married Zarkon and they had a child, Lotor. They were possessed by the dark entities, which pretty much caused the entire war. And what she wants to do now, realizing now that she's lost not only her husband, she's lost her son, which she seems to care about more than ever, she wants to rip realities apart and find the perfect reality, basically one where maybe she has been killed. I think that's where they went with that, where she can now come back, take the place of where she was, and be with Zarkon and Lotor. And when she reaches this reality, in the end, we see that young Lotor does not accept her, but that's besides the point. What I really want to talk about here is that this entire season and everything that is related to Unnerva is family, which in a way makes the viewer and the audience, basically me and you, kind of feel for her a little bit. You start to understand her a little bit more, and I'm not saying that we agree with her, because obviously what she was doing was extremely selfish, but when push comes to shove, how far would you go and what would you do to be with your family? I hope you wouldn't tear realities apart and kill everybody in it, including space and time. But we have that Darth Vader moment when we realize what her motivations are. It means that there is love in there and there is some good, maybe just a little bit. So speaking of her ripping realities, let's talk about how she did that and what that leads to, because that was one of my favorite things ever in all of Voltron. So in order to actually get to the reality that she wants to get to, she has her own mecha and she has Prince Lotor's, and in her strange seance, they start to merge together and they become this ultimate weapon. But as soon as I saw that happen, my first thought was, wait, we have Voltron and the IGF Atlas. Now, I wasn't sure if that was the direction that they were going to go in, but once I saw the Marmora coming, and then we saw Krolia and her team come, and they're all helping, and they had enough power, I was like, oh, they're going to do it. And then you see it actually happening. And there was this moment where I was like, they're going to do it. They're going to do it! They're going to do it! I know it sounds funny. I'm not even kidding. I was like screaming on this couch. I was like screaming at the top of my lungs. You see the IGF Atlas, you see Voltron, and they start fusing, and they didn't even have to dance. So now we have to talk about the really sad thing that happened in Season 8. And again, spoilers, if you haven't watched it, really seriously, just don't continue. I'm telling you, I want you to watch my videos, but don't watch this unless you've watched it. When Princess Allura sacrifices herself to help Minerva use quintessence to not take life, but to give it, and we as an audience realize that she is sacrificing herself, this was extremely sad. And I don't cry most of the time while watching things. And I'm not going to say that I actually cried during this, but I wanted to. She effectively says goodbye to everybody. And usually I think those scenes are really corny. A lot of different movies, a lot of different shows have that goodbye. They say goodbye to each and every person on a team or the main characters of a movie or show. And usually there isn't enough development, or these people haven't gone through enough for me to think that it's, you know, this really emotional moment. But we have been on this emotional roller coaster with the Paladins and everyone in the Voltron universe for 8 seasons, for a few years now. And when she was saying goodbye to everybody, I don't know if you can see it right now, I'm actually getting sad thinking about it. But that was such a wonderful conclusion to Allura's story. And it made me super sad for Lance. I mean, they just became a couple. And they showed those scenes when they're kind of just relaxing together, just being a couple. Oh, we haven't seen that really in this show with too many characters. Side note, one of the funny things that I thought about while watching that scene, though, is that I knew that there are so many fans out there watching that scene, and they're like, that should be Keith. Now, something that I was a little bit confused about, and maybe everyone can help me with this, is that when Allura sacrifices herself and she has her last kiss with Lance, the mark of the Chosen transfers to Lance. So does that mean that the mark of the Chosen is not specific to Alteans? And does that also now mean that Lance, even though the Lion's dead, the Guardian's dead, I totally get that, this is all just conceptual, does that mean that since he has the mark of the Chosen, I don't know why I keep doing this, but does that mean that he can pass through to Orion? Can he go to Orion? I don't know, I'm not exactly sure. Please, if you know the answer to this, help me out. Leave it in the comments. Now, last but certainly not least, let's talk about the ending of the last episode. Now that there's going to be an era of peace, there's no need for Voltron anymore, so the Lions leave. Not in a selfish way, but if I was a paladin, I'd be like, wait, you're my ship. That's like having your car just decide to leave. Like, what if in Transformers, Bumblebee decided to leave? Shia LaBeouf would just be like, but you're my car. And what happens if we ever do need Voltron again? Are you gonna come back? And then during the ending montage, we learn that the Holt established the next generation of Legendary Defenders. Hello, we already saw a chip being built. Vehicle Voltron, people! Hunk decides to go into food professionally, which is, I think, what he would have done if he never became a Paladin of Voltron. Lance, poor Lance, it looks like in his last shot that he's set up this Allura paradise. I know you loved her, dude, but that might not be healthy. Keith has turned the Blade of Marmora into a humanitarian relief organization, which I think, again, shows a lot of his character development, because we all know Keith as being this, like, introverted, quiet, emo Keith. And then, of course, to wrap up the entire story of Shiro leaving love behind and going into battle, Shiro finds love again and gets married. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing the whole series no justice. I can sit here on a 20-minute video and tell you how much I love Voltron Legendary Defender. I can tell you how good it is, but you will never understand the gravity of my words until you actually watch it. So if you haven't, you should definitely do that. And if you haven't, you definitely shouldn't be watching this video. And if you have, I hope that you feel the same things that I felt while watching this series, because it's one of those things where, yes, I thought it was so good, I don't know if I can emotionally go through it again. Don't quote me on that. I'll probably watch it again very soon. So thank you very much, everybody, for sitting through all of my thoughts and opinions on Voltron Legendary Defender Season 8. If you've made it to this point in the video, I can only imagine that you liked what you were watching. So if you do like what you're watching, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It will be here. If you'd like to communicate with me, you can absolutely do that down in the comments, but I am very active on social media, so you could add me on the social media networks, which will be here. So for all of you Voltron Legendary Defender fans out there, thank you so much for watching these videos. This is probably the last one, I can imagine, unless something else comes out magically. But of course, feel free to check out all the other videos on my channel. I talk about a lot of different stuff. Until next time, everybody, May the power protect you.